Robert, we met in a very unconventional way. Can I share, like,
please?
So he owns RV's Home of the Hoagie, and we were on social media, and someone posted a photo of these delicious looking sandwiches, and I saw the name Home of the Hoagie or something.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Morgan Park, where we have Home of the Hoagie, and more locally, we call it the Hoagie Shop.
The Hoagie Shop.
And there's
the spot.
Yeah. And there's many imitations out there.
There are.
And so because, that's my neighborhood, I take offense to all these imposters.
It is hilarious. The hoagie game in Chicago it's crazy. My great uncle, Roosevelt McCarthy, and my grandfather, Samuel McCarthy, founded Home of the Hoagie almost 60 years ago on South Side of Chicago, 111th and True, if you all have ever been there. And of course, everybody in the family has always worked there. I didn't start off in the hoagie game. I was in sales and did other things. And my father and my mother had catering when I was a kid in Aurora and Naperville area. And it's just something that was a passion of mine that I moved into. But it's funny that you mentioned that, because there are a lot of people who compare themselves to, or they use that as a benchmark, or they use some sort of portion of the name or whatever to build business. And people are very, very sensitive about that. They call me up all the time.
Yeah.
Who are you?
That's pretty much
family,
what I did.
Relax. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I jumped all over this poor customer of yours and said, why can't people make their own business model? And then Robert sent me a private message and said, hey, that's my family. So
I appreciate the protection.
Absolutely.
Looking out for the legacy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I've also have personal experience with shared deluxe transportation. Took my daughter to Europe as a college graduation gift, and I wanted top of the line everything. She had never flown on a plane because she was deathly afraid. So by the time she's 17, never been on a plane, her very first ride, she wanted to go straight to Paris. Like 8 hours, her first ride.
Short trip.
Yeah, very short, So because I wanted everything nice and sweet and fancy and classy for her, I used Dorinius Share Deluxe transportation, and you were so I know you in real life, but in your, you were so professional and made our experience very special. So thank you for that. And also, you're welcome. Or thank you. And with Alex, like I went to elementary school with him, right across the street from the hoagie shop. We went to shoot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, a lot of our money went there growing up. And so I began, running half marathons and all these obstacle course and events and things like that. And I partook in a zombie run or something like that a few years ago for Halloween.
God bless you.
It happened to be his event.
Oh, cool.
It just happened to be his event. So I have personal experience with all of your guys' business. So today we've talked about 3 of your main ventures, but today's topic is diversifying your business. So you kind of shared just, one facet of what you guys do, but I found that many entrepreneurs have more than one business, or they'll have one business, but multiple ways to, I guess, expand or capitalize on that particular nature of that business. So I wanted to discuss some of that. So I guess I could start with you, Alec. Sure. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, how many businesses would you say that you currently manage?
Well, I'd say probably about 7.
7.
Yeah. So, but it, just like you said, it starts from one thing. The Zombie Run was the first outdoor event that I did. So from that, 2013, we just said, okay, let's do 50,000 pounds of rotten tomatoes at Soldier Field. So then that morphed into another event. It was okay. They did a food truck festival in Texas. Let's try that. So then that morphed another. So events, so 5 or 7 different events is what we coordinated. Michigan City Food Truck Festival, but now that led to technology. So we were tired of the bartenders stealing all the money at the events. We wanted to take something home. So basically we said, okay, let's try to create something that we can have a cashless system. So there's no cash liability. So then comes from that system that we created called Lux Payband. Lux Payband is probably one of the world's first cryptocurrency wristband wallets. What that simply means is that I can go buy a drink with cryptocurrencies, but the person doesn't even know that they're using it. So I've had to diversify based on the need and necessity. I'm going to keep my team small because that's just how I'm more comfortable with working. More people that know. I'm not comfortable with that. So anyway, but that's where my diversifications come from need and necessity.
From a need. That makes sense. How about you, Dorenius?
So originally we worked together at Chase Bank, or the bank. And
the bank here on referred to as.
Right.
Lots of experience with Chase.
Oh, okay.
So the business D-Rod Productions that I co-own with my wife Sherry started out with me DJing and throwing events. When throwing events, I used to DJ, and then I began to throw events, and then I realized that the DJ was pretty much the only one that was getting paid.
So that's a quick math.
Yeah. So, and it took me a little while.
I'm a DJ now.
It took me some time to get back into it, but then I said, you know what, I'm going to start DJing. So that's what I did first before I left my job. So got back into DJing, throwing events, and then in order to leave my job, I had to make sure that I had steady income. So my wife and I created our transportation company, and that was our first diversification.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you?
Wow. Ever since you asked me to come on and do this, I've been trying to think of how I morphed into what I'm doing. And it's just so, as he said, it's a necessity thing. My family has always been an entrepreneurial family. I think that I may have had a job where I worked for hourly paycheck when I was 19 or something back in the day. But I currently manage 4 businesses, and it started off with consulting for other businesses because people would call and ask me, friends would call and ask me, and they would say, hey, the things that you're showing me to do, they don't teach this in grad school. I have my MBA, and people need to understand this. You ought to charge. And I was like,
right. Yeah.
Good idea. So it started from there and kind of moved into the things that I currently do. As funny as it may seem, as different as my companies are, they're all kind of, synergized with each other. As different as they are, one kind of helps the other. And
Okay.
but they're very, very separate, in what we do.
That's sort of where I am right now. I do multiple things, but at this point, they're all sort of real estate
Right.
focused. I'm not opposed to other things,
Mhm.
but right now it just makes sense that one
And
does
that's the best
impact
way
the
to do it.
other. Yeah,
As long as it, not just making dollars, but as long as it's something
making
that's not
sense.
going to, as an entrepreneur, you always constantly have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Because if you get into a comfort zone where everything, then something's being dropped,
Mhm.
something's falling through the cracks. However, if it's something that feels like you're going backwards in, or you're just contrary to what you're trying to accomplish on any of them, then you got to let it go.
absolutely.
Because it's just a poison pill.
It is. It
So-
is. Some people don't know when to let go. I
Yeah,
guess that's
yeah.
another show, but yeah, at some
Yeah.
point, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, enough of this. Okay, so that's good. So, I guess we kind of talk about what would prompt you to expand that particular business, but I guess I'll ask then, what are the benefits of diversifying your business or having multiple versus just putting, all your focus into one thing? I did have a guest once, which in the context of what we were talking about, he said that he'll just take one thing and just beat it to death and just do it so good. And that was like a pillar of his success. But what would be the benefits in diversifying your business?
I think that's one way to look at it, and as an entrepreneur, you have to do what you're comfortable doing. There's not one way of doing any particular thing. For me, it works to be diversified only because in my corporate job, I started to learn things that would allow me to consistently get a paycheck. To get some money. How am I going to consider when everybody else is going down? How do I consistently get a paycheck? And my boss equated it to, if you're walking up the stairs of the Sears Tower, as hard as it may be, if you've got a yo-yo, the yo-yo is going up and down, but as long as you keep marching, eventually you're going to make it to the top. And so one of the things that I try to do is I try to maintain multiple streams of income through my businesses, as long as they fit within my personal agenda. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so it helps that when slow seasons come, and as they do, despite however well you may do things, slow seasons may be good seasons for the other business.
Absolutely.
So then you have, you're always doing something.
Okay. Jerenius, how about you? A few benefits of diversifying your business or having multiple businesses?
Sure, absolutely. To your last point, there's seasonality in the two businesses that I have. The transportation company slows down in the winter, and sometimes it slows down in the summer. The summertime, that's when the entertainment part seems to kick up. And so, when one goes up, the other one goes down. Occasionally they're hitting at the same time, and that's a great time. But it's to offset seasonality. That's one of the main benefits for me.
Okay. And you, Alex?
I'm fiercely independent. So I want to control 100% of what I do. I don't want no one over me. Only person I prefer to deal with is the IRS. That's it. So in doing that, that is why a benefit of diversity for me is it fits the kind of lifestyle I want to lead. So when I do create an event, of course, there's seasonality in that as well. Also, I'm an avid eBayer. Go figure. I love estate sales. I'll go find something for $5. I just sold a 1947 Irish male bike for $330, and he paid $101 for shipping. So the diversity for me allows me to be independent and live the lifestyle I like. I love being free. So that's what's important to me. But I do understand someone who's very gifted and takes something to master it. That's awesome. But that's just not the kind of lifestyle for myself. If you find some vintage watches, you let me know. I'll do so.
All of you all have definitely valid points, and I agree with everything that you said. The only thing that I would personally add to it, the freedom and flexibility, I love that. I love the fact that I can be creative. You know what I mean? My creativity is not stifled. It's like, well, what else am I interested in? And therefore, let me do that.
Yes.
And it might not be the most lucrative, stream of income, but it's the one that I enjoy most. So I think that's a huge benefit as well.
Well said.
Alec, let's start with you. What are some of the challenges that you face with balancing more than one venture?
you need more people, more hands,
Yeah.
because there's emails, there's customer service, there are calls, there's the actual execution of things that have been done. There's equipment, there's supplies. So the challenge comes in when you're doing multiple things that you're working, you're humping. There is no vacations or no weekend. It's 7 days a week. It's all day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is one of the challenges. And
Okay.
if you don't like that kind of push, then it won't be easy. But for myself, that's all I do know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Duranius?
Yeah, it comes down to energy, sort of in the same vein. You know, it takes a lot of people to throw events, or a lot of energy, mind you. So I find myself putting my events on the back burner because my transportation is just a lot more consistent than event throwing. So it really comes down to energy. When do I have the energy to put forth the effort for an event? That's my major challenge.
I think organization
Well said.
is key. A lot of people that see the fruits of what I do ask me how to go about doing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't write a book to tell you if I wanted to. All I can say is that if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do what you tell them you're going to do. If you say you're going to deliver something, deliver what you say you're going to deliver. If you try to sell something, undersell, over deliver. It's just a matter of organization, because at any particular time, when something goes wrong, whether it's your fault or the customer's fault or somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with your business and says, hey, I know who you guys are. It only takes one person to ruin everything for you, and it takes a ton of people to get that reputation back. So organization is key. One of the downfalls that I find that most entrepreneurs have is they get into a business with the idea that they're going to be free.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
There is absolutely no such thing.
Correct.
If you are not willing to work for yourself harder and more consistently than you work for somebody else,
yes,
you're going to be miserable, broke,
unsuccessful,
and out of business pretty quickly.
That's true.
And I see it all the time. People say, hey, listen, can you help me do this? And I say, absolutely. This is what you have to do. Well, I was thinking about maybe getting up at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
You missed it.
11 o'clock. I'm eating dinner at 11 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since.
So I mentioned this quote on our last show, which is still very much impresses me and resonates with me. I may have gotten it from a Facebook meme, I don't know, but it says that an entrepreneur will work 80 hours a week to not have to work 40 hours a week.
Well said.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Well said.
It's really true.
My father told me something a long time ago. And when I went to my corporate job, they actually signed this contract. Mm-hmm. When I say job, it was a job that I worked for somebody else, but I didn't get a paycheck, a salary. It was all on me. I signed a document, and at the time, my ex-wife, they said, hey, take this home, discuss it with your ex-wife, let her know exactly what you're getting into, and have her sign it too if you're willing to do this. And it said, I will live the next 5 years of my life like no person would, so that I can live the rest of my life like nobody can.
I understand.
And my father always told me, he said, good things come to those who wait is the biggest lie ever told.
Yeah, I agree.
Good things come to those who wait, but only what's left by those that hustle.
Correct.
If you're going to sit around and wait for something,
that's correct.
You're only going to get what I leave you behind, because I'm going to be down the street going, and so with those two things, I whenever I feel tired, lazy, I don't want to do something, somebody's got me pissed off, it's not going the way that I want it to go, I sit back and I go, okay, I'm going to live the next 5 years, the rest of my life. All right. And I always hear that voice in the back of my head. My dad's sitting there going, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You want to go to Europe next week?
Yeah.
Do you want to buy the house? Do you want, keep pushing. So you keep pushing.
That's good stuff. So one question here before we go to a brief break. Alec, let's start with you.
Okay.
We're talking about, not even having dinner till 11 a.m. and, who sleeps in until 11 as an entrepreneur. When you are diversifying your business, you have multiple things going on. How could you suggest preventing yourself from spreading yourself too thin or burnout?
I wouldn't say, how do you prevent yourself? I'll say, you'll know when you have spread yourself too thin.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you're honest with yourself, you'll gauge back. If not, then you are going to fail, or you're going to do what you do, which won't give you the results that you see.
And you won't enjoy it anymore.
No, you won't. So I think that it isn't something that you go into. If you know yourself that well, then that's awesome. But I didn't have I didn't have that knowledge of self.
Okay.
So I've had to figure that out along the way. Okay, you can't do this, Alex. You can't unload the truck, plan the event, and do all this. So
yes.
It comes naturally, I like to think.
Thank you. Duranius.
Well, that's a tough one. That's a struggle for me all the time. Part of it for me being in transportation and running around the clock, as you may know, I have to listen to my body. So when I'm tired, I'm probably really tired, because when I'm going after it, when I'm in my zone, I go without sleep. I sleep in the breaks. In my life happens in between the trips. So, and I don't have a problem with that. I get up eagerly to do that. But when I'm tired, I'm probably really tired. And that's when I know, okay, it's time to just shut down and sleep for 14 hours straight.
Yeah. I hear the question and I'm listening to what they say, and it makes perfect sense. And I even had a canned answer for that. I did. When I was 16 years old, I started going to these places to watch Les Brown and all these motivational speakers and entrepreneurs and all these people. And 20 some odd years later, I've realized that all of what they've all said is hindsight. Right. None of that is in the forefront of when you're doing something. I've got a really great support team, whether they know that they're my support or not. I've got a really great support team. There isn't one successful person, no matter what you think, that has done anything on their own. Right. Not one. And when I'm doing something, I hear my grandmother in the back of my head say, "I'm praying for you, baby," and that gives me strength. Mm-hmm. When I'm doing something and I just don't think that I can go any further, I hear my mother saying, "With all your strength, all your heart, when I'm doing something and I think, I'm gonna take this shortcut, I hear my dad saying, "Details, well, the details." Mm-hmm. And when I see myself getting tired, I still continue to push forward. I haven't slept in 2 or 3 days, and my wife comes up and goes, "Hey, stop, go to bed. I got this." And without any of those things, my little sister saying, "I'm looking at you, I'm watching what you're doing," my nephews, my nieces, my kids, when I see what they're doing and they see from a different perspective what I'm doing, they're able to say, "Hey, that's too much." Right. That's too much. Because as far as I'm concerned, I've got a little bit of a God complex, and anybody who goes into being an entrepreneur that thinks that they can go against the grain and become successful has to have that arrogance or whatever they call it. Those are the negative terms that they call it. But then once you become successful, they say, that's 1 in a million. Oh, 1 in a million. Well, there's a reason why it's 1 in a million, because you got to be a little bit cuckoo to do it.
I wish I had that. I don't have anyone who ever looks at me and say, "Girl, you're doing too much." They're just like, "Oh, that's D. That's just what she does."
You get that too. Yeah. You get that too. Oh, that's right.
I wish I had someone who would say, "Hey, why don't you just relax a little?"
The bad part of that is, though,
I'd be like, "Okay."
The bad part about that is that when you really need somebody, when you're out, one of my companies, we had an incident where somebody stole a lot of money from us, and we were hurting bad. Nobody believes it. Mm-hmm. Because they go, "Oh,
you'll be okay.
He'll figure it out." Yeah, and you're going, "No, I need, don't worry about it, And then you call up, you say, and they say, "Well, how are you?" Like, "It's bad. Somebody did this."
Your bad isn't their bad,
right? And they go, "Oh, that's really too bad. I'm trying to get my car paid," and I'm going, "No, I need other help."
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't equate the same. They don't. Mm-hmm. They figure, you know what? He's always gotten through it. He's always figured something out. And so that could be a bad thing, that when you don't, that's just D.
Yeah. Oh, she'll figure it out. Absolutely. Yeah.
My house is burning down. And she'll buy another one.
Girl, you're strong.
You'll buy another one. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. Hey, I would like to take a quick break, and we will be back in a moment here.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
So, awesome.
Thank you so much for tuning into Dee's Business and hanging out with us on a brief break. I am Dee Stevens, your host and real estate expert. Please contact me if you need help buying, selling, investing in, or rehabbing property. I can be reached at 708-964-REAL. That's 708-964-7325. Be sure to like my business page at Dee's Real Business for real estate and business tips and motivation. Today, I am here with three special guests. We are talking about diversifying your business, the first half of our show here. I will just reintroduce. We have, starting from the end there, we have Alex Blackshire. He is the founder or
Yes.
founder of multiple events here in the city of Chicago Food Truck Festival, which this year is June 22nd through the June 23rd in the South Loop, as well as Chicago Margarita Festival, July 27th through the 28th at Navy Pier. That'll be an amazing event. You can find out more about his events at chicagofoodtruckfestival.com and chicagomargaritafestival.com. Here in the middle, we have Dorenius Robinson, co-owner of D. Rob Production and Sure Deluxe Transportation. He can be reached at Facebook at Sure Deluxe Transportation and 773-800-0435. And last but not least, right next to me here, we have Robert Yarbrough Jr., owner of RV's Home of the Hoagie. He can be reached at 331-250-1672, as well as rvhoh.com, Home of the Hoagie at rvhoh.com. diversifyingoh.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thank you so much again, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So we talked mostly about diversifying your business the first half of the show. In general, the show here, we do talk about challenges and inspiration and things like that for existing or aspiring entrepreneurs. So got a few quick questions, general questions about being an entrepreneur. We can make them quick, short, and sweet, kind of round robin style. And let's see, I'll start with you, Dorenius. You look like you're very excited. So in general, why don't you share with us the biggest challenge that you had with starting your very first business?
Ooh, the first one I actually didn't talk about today. That was in financial services, selling insurance and mutual funds. So I was an independent rep, and that one was just really difficult because I just didn't know what I was doing at the time. So kind of just jumped out there. Wasn't really proficient at sales yet. Since then, I've come to master it, right?
Okay.
But back then, I just wasn't good at it. So that was the biggest challenge with the first business, getting the clientele up and going.
Okay. And Robert, I'd like to ask you, what did you find to be the easiest part of getting started with your own business?
Oh, wow. The sales.
Sales is easy for you. Okay.
Sales it's what I've always done. I've always had a gift of gab, I guess. So I think sales and marketing has always been something that's come pretty natural for me. So I guess that would be the easiest thing.
Okay. Alex, what would you say as a business owner, what question do you get asked most frequently?
I almost laughed. Do you own this event?
Yeah.
That's what I get asked a lot. But on a serious note, as a business owner, I get asked pretty much how did you do that, and what can I do to create that? Can you show me how to do that? So mostly when people see what you created, then they want to do it too.
So I didn't give the other guys a part B, so I hate to do this to you, but when you get that question specifically, how do you normally respond?
I tell them exactly how I started. I mean, humble beginnings. I had no idea how to do an event, never hosted an event, none of that. So I pretty much had to figure out and made every mistake that I could make. I show them how did I get the capital. I didn't have the capital. I was very creative, went through Groupon. So I just shared them the basics of what it took me to get there.
Okay, that's good information. Dorenius, have you had attempts at businesses before your current businesses, which you did mention?
Yeah.
And like, what makes the current businesses different this time?
Well, I've got a lot more experience at the sales, coming from the bank and really sharpening my skills there. Again, that was the major hurdle in the beginning with the first business. So having the sales ability and also the capital. This time, I was able to save up money. Before with the first business, I was pretty much just straight out of school for the most part. I mean, it was early in my family life. So yeah, capital is a big difference as well.
Okay. Robert, I know you're a man of multiple businesses, but I have a sweet spot. I have a sweet spot for the hoagie shop. I don't know how much you could share, but in general, where would you like to see that particular, I guess, stream of your businesses, 5 years from now? What would you like to see your hoagie shop doing 5 years from now?
We'll be national in 5 years.
National?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Easily. Just to tell a real short story, we went to look at a facility in Bolingbrook about 4 years ago, and was arguing with the landlord because the landlord didn't need to lease it, and ended up moving and opening in Plainfield instead. And we revisited the area last year, and the lady said, "Hey, listen, I just wanted to talk to you." I said, "What's that?" She said, I thought she was just a real estate agent showing the property. And she said, the mayor's called me a couple of times and wanted to know how come we didn't make a deal with you. I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, who are you?" And she explained to me who she was, and their restaurant developers.
Oh,
She and her company is responsible for Checkers originally. Most of what Home Run and Pizza has done, and a couple other restaurants and she's actually the landlord and owner of properties that Portillo's works out of. And I was like, so they have kind of drawn out this, if you do this, this, and this, this is what we want to do for you. And I'm like,
That's awesome.
with or without you, lady, that's where we're going. So that's the whole reason I got into. The whole reason I got into the hoagie business was literally I didn't have to do this. I was doing very well what I was doing before.
right.
Is because I saw how hard my uncle used to get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, not leave until 1. And I saw how hard my family worked, and I was in Italy, and somebody said, "Oh wow, you know home of the hoagie?" And I'm going, "Yeah, how do you know it?" You know what I mean? Because it's just a little place.
Yeah.
And I said, "There's just no way that this can leave when he does."
Right.
So I got into this purely under the guise that I was going to continue the legacy, and now it's just a passion. It's like
That's awesome.
I come up with new.
Do you make
food
steak
items.
sandwiches at home?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so
All the time.
jealous.
You know what the funniest thing in the world is? I've made steak everything at home.
Oh my gosh.
Steak hot dogs.
What?
We've done all kinds of experiments at home, and
That's awesome.
I got kids, so they're like, "Dad,
Do this. Yeah.
put this on there." You know,
Yeah.
so we can't put everything on, but yeah, we do.
That's awesome. All right. Let's take a look here. Alex, I know both Durenius and Robert's history. Did you work corporate before you began doing this?
I've never worked corporate. No,
Really?
I've been in every professional school in America: law school, medical school, theology school, business
What?
school.
What?
Been in all of them. Finished 3 out of
Right.
5.
Wait. What 3 did you finish? What did you finish?
Theology school,
Okay.
business school, medical school. Not medical school, pardon me. Business, theology, and of course the undergrad.
Yeah.
I didn't complete the medical, and the law I didn't complete either. My mother got sick during that time.
Okay.
So then when I started, right after that is when my business kicked in. So no, I didn't go the corporate route at all. I've only had a job since I was in high school.
Okay.
Other than that, it was touch and go. RA here, graduate assistant.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to work in high school.
Really?
In fact, I think that might be what kicked my father was military, and I was born as an army brat. And my father was like, "Your job is school." So
Okay.
I made a deal with him one summer, and I was like, "Dad, listen, I need to borrow $150. And he looked at me and went, "Okay, you said borrow."
Mm-hmm.
And our mortgage was like $300 a month back then. So he said, "And it's $150.
Yeah.
When can you pay me back? And when you say you're going to do it, I want to see my money, period." And I was like, and it wasn't that he was he just said, "You said borrow."
Yeah, you said it.
And I borrowed the money, and I didn't sneak, but I knew he didn't want me working. So at like 14, 15 years old, I had seen a movie on TV where the kid pushed the carts around Union Station.
Mm-hmm.
So I went knocking on doors, and I told my friends, I said, "Hey, listen, if you guys come and cut grass with me, I'll pay you $25, $50 a week, no matter what. You cut one lawn." They're like, "All right, cool, we'll do it." Here's the kicker. Whoever cuts the most, my mom's going to take us to Great America, and I'm paying for everything. They're like, done.
Right.
So
Initiative.
I bought 5 used lawnmowers at the
With $150?
it was
That was seed money?
I was going, the motors were going like this, and
Yeah.
from the garage sales. And I went every morning. I got up, my mom would get me some water and a Coke, and I put it on my back, and I knock on, "Hello, ma'am, my name is Robert. Would you like to lawn cut?
Yeah.
If you let us cut your grass every week, it's only going to be $15, but just today it's $25. I'd write their name down. There was no internet. And I would go all day long. And in the wintertime, I would do the same thing with shoveling snow.
Yeah.
I would get lost. I'd be so far off, it'd be dark, and my feet would be frozen. And I would go to a payphone and call my mom. I'm like, "Mom, I don't know where I'm at, but it says Bobby's Pizza." And she'd drive for half an hour to find me and come get me. And I would be sitting in school counting money in the back of the classroom.
I love that.
To the point where they confiscated the money.
Yeah.
And said, "Now call your mom and dad and tell them you've been selling drugs and come get the money." I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm calling my daddy telling them that."
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to just keep the money. My mom came up and she got the money. But that's where I just couldn't see when people would sit there and go, "Hey, I work at Taco Bell and they're paying me $4 an hour." I was like, "Man, that's crazy."
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You can't leave when you want. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. But I always wanted to be a stockbroker since I saw the movie Wall Street, and so that's the one. I mean, nobody told me they don't get paid unless they work.
Right.
You know, and so that's the route I went, and I did that.
Okay. I always love hearing stories about our entrepreneurs as children, because it seems like I always hear about a business that they started as a kid. So I love that story. So lastly, what I always like to ask of our entrepreneurs, if you could share one piece of advice to a new or would-be entrepreneur, what would that be? I want to start with you, Dorenius.
Oh, there's so many places to start, but since I am going first, I'm going to say try to start with your passion. The thing that you do for free, that you love doing, that's probably the business that you should start off with first.
That's awesome. Alec.
I'd say just try. Simple as that. Whatever you're thinking of trying, if you fail, you fail. Learn, try again.
Mm-hmm.
That's the advice I'd give.
Okay. Robert.
Not making it is not failure.
Right. A lot of people don't get that.
No is not the same thing as, that's one thing that people have to understand, that nobody comes out the gates shooting and it's all working out. Not making it on the first one teaches you what you need to know about the second one, teaches what you need to know about the third one, puts the foundation down for your business. It's going to be your lifelong thing. And make the decision to do it. That's the hardest part, just to make the decision to do it. You sit there and you contemplate in your head and you go through and you do that for 10 years and nobody ever just goes in and pulls the trigger. But open the door, step out, and every day do something to further your business, whether it's read something, whether it's contact somebody, whether it's make a plan, do it every day. If you go an inch, you've gone far enough. Mm-hmm. Just make a plan to do something and execute the plan.
That's good stuff. One thing I would share, I guess it could have something to do with sales, or it could just have something to do with just getting started, but just open your mouth and ask.
Closed mouth
because like one of you guys said, your closed mouth does not get fed. And be it, hey, here's my product, would you please buy it from me? Or, hey, would you like to partner? Or, I don't have capital, let's partner together, let's have a strategic partnership and make this happen. The worst thing anybody could do is say no. And if they do, you could find out what their objections are and then go about it a different way, or move on to someone else who will say yes. And it's really that simple.
It is.
The guy who owns, what's the guy's name? He does Shark Tank. He owns Fubu. Damon. He was talking to a mentor of his, and he was like, what do you say about entrepreneurship? He said, one of the worst things people have said is, I don't have capital. That's not true. You don't know how much capital you have.
Well said.
You don't have.
You
have a product. You have capital. Yeah. You have some people, that's capital. You have a telephone, and most people don't. I've got unlimited telephone calls and data on my phone. If I sit in my house, pick up the phone book and call everybody I can and say, can I have $5? For no other reason, just can I have $5? Out of that phone book, somebody's going to say yes.
That's correct.
Whether they like you or not. You don't know how much capital you have. You have friends. You have a network. You have centers of influence. You have an order. This young man right here, food truck. You've got 15 people who own food trucks. They don't know how to go about putting them together. That's capital. Hey guys, I got 15 food trucks right here. Can I borrow that space? I need to pay for it. 1 second. Guys, I need $20 per person.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be your capital, but you may not have cash in the bank, but you got capital. Figuring out where your capital is key to your success, because you may be broke. I was a kid and they had these bulletin boards on at the State Department where different countries was asking for things. My father owned a tool sales company, and this guy was looking for bandsaws, and I knew my dad could buy used bandsaws, and they were cutting fish with it in Italy. I had no idea, but I knew that my dad had a tool sales business, which was a small business. And the guy had this, and I said, Dad, awesome. Can we find these? Yep. Can we get them from there? Nope, because it costs $120,000. But you know what we can do? We can say, give us the order, take the order to the bank, say, look, we got an order for 25 bandsaws, $200,000. Can we borrow $200,000? The bank says no. We'll give you $50,000. Thank you very much. You guys go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and take care of it. You just don't know where your capital may lie. Just find out where it's at. Mine it with all you got.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we'll be wrapping things up here. Is there anything else that either one of you all want to tell our viewers or entrepreneurs?
Well,
take with them?
I wanted to say thank you again for having me on, and my apologies for being tardy. I take that serious, but just simple in terms of finding your passion is more of experiencing who you are, and that just takes trying. And once you find that, then everything will start to flow. It'll flow. Money and everything, how you make it, just depends on where you're trying to go. But you find that passion, you work at it, things fall in place.
Thank you. That's good stuff. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I do just once again thank our guests and make sure you all have their contact information. Alex here of Chicago Food Truck Festival, June 22nd through the 23rd in the South Loop, as well as Chicago Margarita Festival, July 27th through the 28th at Navy Pier. Information available at chicagofoodtruckfestival.com and chicagomargaritafestival.com. Robert Yarbrough. I lasted this whole show without messing that up.
You did.
Robert Yarbrough Jr. of RV's Home of the Hoagie, 331-250-1672, RVHOH.com, Home of the Hoagie at RVHOH.com. Also available on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And Mr. Derminius Robinson, co-owner of D-Rob Productions and Sure Deluxe Transportation. Facebook is Sure Deluxe Transportation and phone number 773-800-0435. And as always, I'm your host, Dee Stevens, your real estate expert. Contact me if you need help buying, selling, investing, or rehabbing your property. I can be reached at 708-964-REAL. That is 708-964-7325. Please like my business page, Dee's Real Business, for real estate and business tips and motivation. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a great day.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right.